Call Perfect Climate for all your heating and air conditioning needs. We are now doing plumbing also. 812-768-6161. I'm Hunter Wade at the Athletes Lounge podcast. I'm here with my guest, Coach Johnny Pace of Scottsburg Baseball. How are you doing, Coach?
I'm doing well, Hunter. How are you today?
Doing pretty good. So, we'll just start right off. What do you think about your season so far? I'd say you are probably pretty happy with the way your season's gone. But, in your opinion, what do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very pleased. I don't think too many first year head coaches could look at what we've done so far this year and be upset with it. Obviously, with that said, there's room for improvement in every team, but I'm really proud of the way the guys have come together. They've bought into the system, and really more than anything, the team chemistry has been remarkable, and I think that's probably the hallmark or the trademark even of this group.
So what's your background in baseball and even just sports in general? What I guess made you, want to be the high school baseball coach, I guess.
I played several sports just from age 5 on up, like a lot of folks. But baseball was a passion of mine from the minute I got on the dirt for the first time, and until I stopped playing after high school. I had a couple opportunities potentially play in college, and I actually, like yourself, wanted to get into a career of sports journalism, and I ended up going to WKU and majoring in broadcast, which was an awesome decision, and I got to chase that dream for a little while and do a lot of good things while I was in school. But my dad was sick when I was graduating, and I kind of had a choice: hey, go take a job in Michigan, Texas, Florida, or come home and find a new career and help take care of him while he was still here. And ultimately, that's what I decided to do. And luckily, the community I grew up in, Scottsburg, it welcomed me back in with open arms after being away for a few years, and invited me to be the voice of the boys basketball team. And I've been doing that for 11 seasons now, and just staying close in the community and continuing to play slow pitch softball on my own for a while. I never could quite scratch that baseball itch that had always been with me my entire life. And when I graduated high school, I never could scratch it anymore. You can't continue to play, and it's hard to lose a love like that and never get a chance to get the closure or get back in it. And then last year it just dawned on me. I said, you know what? I'm closely tied with the school still. Why don't I reach out and see if maybe I can help out on the coaching staff? And luckily, Coach Brian Wickman he'd been there a few years, I think 5-6 seasons, and he was looking for some help and allowed me to come aboard. And man, it was just like a passion from the word go. It was like, this is the next best thing to playing, is coaching it. And I developed a great rapport with the guys there. And when Coach Wickman decided to step down, I think several of the guys made a really clear point with the school and the school board, like, hey, this is who we want to take over the program. And I knew when Coach stepped away, this was 100% something that I wanted to do more than anything in the world, other than being a dad, which I am now. This was what I wanted more than anything.
You know the uh you've been around the game, so you're used to some of these the flow of things. But man, as a coach, what's it like when you win your first game, 13-3, you drop 11-1, but some of these scores that you guys have been able to put up have been pretty impressive.
Yeah, we'll start with game one there that you mentioned, knocking Lanesville off like that. I mean, it was remarkable. I had the jitters all day. This was actually leading into when our basketball team was about to go play for a state title. And I met with Coach Richardson a couple days before that. Our guys had done a goodie bag for his team, just to give them, kind of hype them up a little bit, show them we were supporting them. And we were standing there talking, and everything that I was saying to him, I could tell was almost going in one ear and out the other, because he was so worked up over that state title game. And I was looking at him, and I could see that body language and facial expression, and I understood exactly what he was going through. And I thought, wow, this is just my first game as a varsity head coach, and this is a state title game for him. I can't imagine with those implications what that might feel like. But we got into the game, and the guys really bought into the system, and we've got something called a team process index, which, to bury the long story, it's just a checklist of items that we need to accomplish throughout a game in order to put ourselves in a position to succeed. And we got through those really well. We get into the team huddle after the game, and I was about to run down the list and kind of give the guys an evaluation of what the game had been, and they stopped me right where I was at, and they said, "Hey, coach, don't go any further." And they presented me with the game ball, and each one of them stood up and gave me a hug. And at that point, I was unable to continue any kind of evaluation because I was filled with emotion. And then I get back on the bus, and they give me a standing ovation and a round of applause, and it just it showed that this group cares about one another a whole lot, and that bond has propelled us really throughout the season. And you touched on some of those offensive performances. This potential was always there. Kind of setting these guys up with a process per se, and showing them how to go down that list, and then letting their talent and instincts go to work. I can't sing their praises enough.
So you have a talented group. Coming into the year, every coach hopes they have a talented group. I think you probably knew it. But what has this even performance surprised you? The ability to rack off this many wins, and even a couple of your losses, like the Southwestern loss, it's a doubleheader, and 1-0 is not the worst loss in the world.
I don't want to say 100% surprised, pleasantly surprised, sure. I mean, these guys had the ability, just like you mentioned, but trying to help them get in a position to succeed, and compartmentalizing the game has been important. And I think their willingness to buy into a different approach. Coach Wickman and I are different. He was great at the game. It brought a lot to the table, but I owed it to these guys to be myself and not try to be anybody else. And credit goes to them for not only allowing me to do that, but buying into it. We lost 117 innings worth of pitching to graduation last year, and that's guys like David Edwards and Jake Martin that are both pitching in college now. So there was a big void to fill on the mound, and finding a way to do that and fill it as well as we have really is just as important as some of those offensive numbers. And you kind of touched on the Southwestern game. Jamison Lewis is as good a pitcher as we have in this area. He's going to be going on and pitching in college, and Dan has done a great job of coaching him up over the last few years. And I had to give Tanner, our guy Tanner Best, some credit. I mean, he pitched a heck of a game. I mean, we lost on a suicide squeeze, walk-off suicide squeeze. So it's really hard to fault the guys in a game like that. I mean, they didn't hit with runners in scoring position, so obviously there's a reason we lost, but the heart was there.
So, as the season kind of winds down for you, or at least the regular season, actually, even let me rephrase that. What was your goal going into the year?
My goal was to make noise in the Mid-Southern Conference and show everybody in our sectional that just because we have a really successful coach that departed the program, and a couple collegiate level pitchers that are departing, that Scottsburg baseball is here to stay. And I grew up in this community. I played at this high school. I was an all-conference player when I graduated. I have a passion for this team and in this school and in this program. And that they entrusted me with this job in just my second year as a coach, period. I don't want that to be a lighthearted agreement or to not give that its diligence. I'm in it for the long run. I'm in it to win it, and to put everybody on notice that, hey, this program is back. It's here to stay.
So with that being said, do you think you can surpass that goal this year and maybe even make, I guess, jump up a couple other goals that were maybe saved for the next couple of years? You think you can achieve?
100%. 100%. These guys have shown a savvy to come back in games. If you go up and down our schedule, there's been a few of these that we've been down, we've come back and won. We've been hit in the mouth in a few of these games. So if you take a look at the score, there's actually a few games where we gave up more runs than what we wanted to, but we were able to refocus and run back away with it. It's that mentality, it's that refuse to lose that is going to be required to knock off a team like Silver Creek, who has dominated the Mid-Southern Conference since 2015. They've dominated this sectional for a long time, and the only way that we can surpass them is to have that mentality from day one and continue. And then, of course, we get to the sectional draw, and that's who we grab. And some of the guys, oh, man, Silver Creek right off the bat said, you know what, guys, you're not winning this sectional unless you beat Silver Creek anyway. So whether we beat them game one or we beat them in the final on Monday, doesn't matter. You have to beat them. So we might as well start right now.
Yeah, so is that a is do you actually prefer to face them, right off the bat? Might as well.
I don't know that I had a preference. Whatever the draw was, I was going to pitch it to the team. Hey, this is good for us because at the end of the day, you're going to have to win three tough games to do it anyway. So having them first, I think there is an argument that, what, we're at full strength. We're giving them every bit that we need to give them in order to win. Now, obviously, the way that the tournament is scheduled this year, I think a lot of people are going to have more strength than normal because they've got Wednesday, Thursday games. Then you've got these breaks on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and jumping back into play on Monday. So I think that changes the postseason dynamic a little bit when it comes to pitching. But as far as I'm concerned, if we can go out there and find a way to beat those guys in the first round, that really gives us all the confidence in the world for the next two games.
What's been your biggest win so far? Maybe outside of, not discounting the first game. What do you think your biggest one's been?
Um, the biggest and most emotional, I would say, hasn't happened officially yet. So Austin obviously is our biggest rival, and
Yeah.
we're leading that game 4-0 when it stopped at the top of the seventh inning due to lightning. It was actually our second lightning delay. And we're set to finish that game this Friday. We resume back in the top of the seventh inning. We've got our three-hole hitter at the plate, two-hole guy on second base with no outs. Assuming we're able to finish that win on Friday and make it official, that would be the biggest win because of what it means in the community. And it would be only the second time since 2005 that we've beat Austin. That's been an incredible baseball program for some time. And I know that game means a lot to our players as well. Behind that one, I think coming out and doing what we did to Charlestown, Madison, and knocking off Mitchell are right there close behind it. And then a sixth inning comeback against Columbus East is also, right there, one B, C, D, and E.
The just a question, because these like this Clarksville win, this New Washington win, this what's this other one? The Eastern win. What happens to your team, I guess, when you just have a game like that? When you have a 25-1, you beat Madison 10-0, which isn't as bad as some of these other ones, but still, a sizable score. What do you think goes on with your team? Does your team just have the ability to get hot? What goes on with?
So some of that is the situation going into that game. Clarksville and Eastern especially was going through a little bit of a bump in the road with their program that had hit that day. But Clarksville's struggling a little bit as a program as a whole, and some of these other teams as well. There's a little bit of a talent disparity there. I mean, there's the odds were stacked in our favor a little bit to go
Yeah.
out there and have some big wins. I think one thing we have to be cognizant of when you play teams like that and things start to get out of hand is don't develop any new bad habits.
Yeah.
And I did hate the fact that we come up with a 25-1 win on Thursday there, and now we don't have a game due to rain until we play Silver Creek in the regular
Yeah.
season tomorrow. I would have loved to have gotten that Seymour game in last night to get guys reback focused on a very tough program and what it takes to win those really, really tough games. So we're going to have to rely on video and practice time to get guys back in the zone with what it's going to take to beat a team like that.
Well, you kind of actually headed off my next question. Is there some worry about getting complacent because some of these wins have been, pretty substantial?
It can happen. It can definitely happen. The guys have done a great job of if I get in their butt a little bit after a win like that, or handle things a certain way for a few days following that to kind of keep their egos in check. Like, you know what? There's always somebody bigger, faster, stronger, and better than you. Just because you won a game like this doesn't mean that you're going to run over everybody you play. So you have to continue to check all the right boxes and go about things the right way in order to compete in the tough games. And luckily, the way the schedule is played out is, I haven't had to always remind them of that. Sometimes the schedule has. And these guys have shown a maturity and a willingness to remind themselves. And sometimes when it's their idea, it's received even better.
Yeah, I was going to ask, and this might be an odd question. Obviously, you want to win every game, but do you think you've had a quote unquote right amount of losses this season? You've had enough losses where it kind of keeps your guys, you know, on their toes, but at the same, you have a healthy record, but you've had a couple of losses, and especially probably your last two losses, which were close, where it kind of
Mhm.
keeps the guys hungry.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. That's kind of an old school thought. My dad always sort of had the mentality in basketball and baseball that sometimes a loss can be good for you, and I just grew up that way, and I do feel that way. Obviously, everybody would love to go undefeated at some point in time, but I think you learn more from some of your losses than you do from some of your wins. And I think we learned a little bit, particularly from the Brownstown loss most recently. That is a well coached program. There's some talented guys on that team. But I think if you look up and down, that was a game that we beat ourselves just as much as what the Braves beat us. And that's not a shot fired at them. They deserved that win. They executed their process better than what we did. But you look at something like that and you use it to grow. And tomorrow night is the Silver Creek game. I don't think Silver Creek's lost a conference game since 2015, 8 or 9 seasons now. We're going to try to give them their first one tomorrow. And you know what? If we come up unsuccessful, guess what? We can learn from it, and we play them again in 2 weeks, first round of sectional play. And you know what? Sectional is more important than what the conference is. So even if we lose another game between now and then, and keep in mind, we got teams like Bedford and Jennings County coming up who will be favored to beat us. We got to be honest with ourselves. Hey, we can beat those guys, but if we lose, you got to learn from it.
At what point, so this year's surpassed expectations, but going into Silver Creek, not Silver County, mix Jennings County and Silver Creek together. Is Silver Creek probably gonna be, I guess, the most you prepare for a team this season?
Yeah, it'll be right up there. It's funny. I was doing some preparation when this started. So actually, on my other monitor over here, I'm working on a scouting report. But I try to do those for all of our games when appropriate. There's a handful of teams on the schedule that I did not scout as hard for as others, but for the most part, all of our Mid Southern Conference opponents, all of our larger non-conference opponents, and really probably 90% of the schedule, we're doing scouting reports and trying to get the guys prepared. I hate as a coach to know that I could have done something to help these guys win and not have done it. There's only so much that you can do as a coach to affect the game in a positive manner while it's going on. And I feel like preparing the guys with a good scouting report is one of the things that you can do on game day to get them ready. Otherwise, a lot of that coaching is really going on practice, off days, weekends. Getting guys skills where they need to be. But on game day, there's only so much you can do to help, and to choose to not do it is not something I'm good with.
What's your and you're probably still figuring this out. What do you think your strengths are as a coach right now?
I'm a people person. Like yourself, I love telling a story, getting involved, asking questions, and learning about people. And my mother has been a very successful operations manager in her career through manufacturing in that industry. And the way that she leveraged that successful career was through the people that worked underneath her. At every level, she was, either a supervisor, manager, operations manager, whatever. She made an effort to understand the people that she worked with and underneath her, and when you understand those people and their individual characteristics, you get an idea better how to manage or lead them. And I think seeing that my entire life from her, and then being a team sport guy my entire life, and learning, not only what to do, but from in other instances what not to do from people. You kind of get an idea. You know what? Every one of these guys in the program, there's 22 of them. You have to coach them differently. You lead the group one consistent way all the time. You owe it to them to be yourself every single day. But when you get in an individual basis, I can't coach Carter the same way I coach Brant or Brentley or Tanner. Each of those guys are their own person. And if you try to cookie cutter them, you're not going to get the results that you want to get. So I would say if I have a strength, it's understanding that I'm coaching individuals in addition to coaching a team.
With that, and I guess on the flip side of that, what's the thing you're trying to improve on the most, I guess?
Uh, Man, that's a long list. We've got to get better as a coaching staff and myself in particular at identifying ways to get our pitchers ready at an early age. A pitching coach is a wonderful luxury to have, Luckily, everybody on our staff has done some pitching in their time or done some pitching coaching. So it's sort of been by committee. But the number one thing is pitching development, and that's not just for this season. That's for long term. I want to really develop an excellent process to get these guys at the earliest age possible doing the right things and get their arms ready for varsity as soon as possible. We lost 117 innings of pitchers from last season. We're going to lose that much coming into next season. So there's going to be a lot of voids to fill. So the biggest thing I need to learn how to accomplish is filling that on a year-to-year basis and getting these guys ready.
So is there any is there, I guess, how much influence do you have any influence? I guess do the middle schools up there have baseball?
Yes, we do, and I am involved with those programs to a degree, and that was part of my goal when I took this job. Was I wanted to develop the same culture in our baseball program that our basketball program has. If you go to Meyer Gym during the fall and winter on a Friday or Saturday night, there are kids from ages 4 to 14 running around in purple and gold jerseys, looking at these Warriors that are out on the floor. Like, I can't wait to be that guy in 10 years or that guy next year. I want that same sort of enthusiasm throughout our youth league, to our middle school, to our high school. I want guys to be that excited to be Scottsburg Warriors on the baseball field. So we've hosted Little League nights twice already this year. Our guys stayed after and did autographs after the Eastern win last week. So it starts even at the youth level, not just middle school, and then getting your coaches on board with a system. You always hear the word system in basketball. Well, there can be a system in baseball as well. Fundamentals and various other things that these guys, if they get used to doing at a younger age, that's one less thing you have to check off the box freshman and sophomore year. So as long as everybody's rowing the boat in the same direction, we should be in good shape.
That's really all I have prepared question wise. Is there anything you want to say, Coach?
Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it. It's I think I mentioned this before we got on the recording. It's cool to be on the other side of the microphone every once in a while. Doing the play-by-play stuff and just having the journalism background. It's cool to see folks like yourself pushing this sort of thing forward. And this content is important for high schools all across the country. Particularly here in the state of Indiana to get voices out and get awareness to what it is we're trying to do. And, any kind of positive you can bring to your community is great. And I appreciate the avenue to be able to do that today.
Well, I've been Hunter Way Up, the Athletes Lounge podcast, and thanks for doing this, Coach.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Hey guys, this is Hunter Way Up, the Athletes Lounge podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe where you can. Thanks.